We are live, Mr. Chair.
It's his what?
Everybody can pull up. Hello, everyone. We're going to call our Children's Services Council of Leon County to order. Thursday, June 18th, 2026 at 4:02 p.m. here in the CSC Leon office. Opportunities for public comment are noted on the agenda and will be offered prior to any council vote. Please complete the comment card and provide it to Ms. Holly Fail at the end of the table. Council members, remember to turn your flag up right to be acknowledged to speak. We will now have a roll call by Ms. McLean.
Ms. Walker. Councilmember Vanderlinden. Here. Councilmember Richards. Councilmember
Here.
O'Brien. Judge Hobbs. Superintendent Hannah.
Here.
Commissioner Cummings. Here. Treasurer Mitchell.
Here.
Vice Chair Johnson.
Here.
Chair Jones.
Yes.
You have a quorum.
All right. First, next order of business, we need the approval or recommendation for the approval of virtual participation of Councilmember Allie Bishop.
And I will second it.
It's been properly moved and seconded that Councilmember Allie Richards can participate virtually. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Richards has requested to participate virtually. Councilmember Richards, can you hear us?
I can. It's so good to see all of you virtually. Wish I could see you in person.
Once again?
Can you
see
hear
us?
me?
Okay, we've turned up the volume, now we can hear you. So just whistle or tap
Okay.
your TV so I can acknowledge you, all right?
Okay.
And I'll do my best to make certain I call you particularly for comments as we discuss agenda items, okay? All right, next up, we have the approval of the agenda. I have a motion.
Mr. Chair, I will move the agenda.
All right, so the properly moved and seconded. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, yes. All right. I need a motion now for the consent agenda.
I will move the, consent. Yes, I'll move the consent.
All those, is there a second?
I'm second.
All right. Is there any discussion on the consent agenda? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. The ayes have it. I apologize. I overlooked general public comment. Are there any speakers? Yes.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. First to speak is Ms. Robin Hassler Thompson. You'll approach the dais and give your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. As Holly said, I'm Robin Hassler Thompson. I'm the Executive Director of the Survive and Thrive Advocacy Center. We're the local program here that provides direct support and assistance to survivors of both sex and labor trafficking. And I have a frog in my throat, excuse me. We've been in existence for over 11 years. And the reason, and since our inception, we've supported over 300 survivors of sex and labor trafficking in our community. Right now, we have 23 clients on our caseload, and every single one of those clients is a family with children. And the reason I'm here today is to just let you know, in part, I've been following the council's work forever. And every time I get a newsletter or see some of the good work of the council, I say to myself, how can we at the Survive and Thrive Advocacy Center partner with, bring this attention to the attention for you of this issue of human trafficking, sex and labor trafficking? How can we help families to be stronger, to understand the signs of trafficking? How can we build on the wonderful materials that you all helped us to create with the very first RFP, I guess it was, Sika or Holly, that happened at the very beginning of your creation, where we have created toolkits that are available for families, for adults to talk to children. We've talked to the school board numerous times, to children to talk to each other about this issue. what can we do to partner with you more? Traffickers target the vulnerable, and we know that anybody who is vulnerable for any reason, whether it is economic vulnerability, housing, healthcare, disabilities, anything, they are a potential target for a trafficker. So when I see all the good work you do, I want to just bring to the attention of this council that we're here, that we're ready to partner, that we'd love to do a refresh on some of these materials. I met with Reserve Green recently, and we've connected to more community partners here, and we'll be doing training with them. It's our job always to make sure that you know that services that STAG provides, which include housing, could be anything from cell phones to food to helping somebody get a cosmetology degree, so they're not impaired economically, that we're here, and we want to partner with you. And we want to figure out how we can do that. Because right now, we don't really fit in any of the categories. That was 3 minutes?
10 seconds.
10 seconds. Are there any questions, or does this make sense? Is this something that we can partner with and move forward together on?
I apologize, Ms. Robin Hester Thompson. Ordinarily, we do not engage in conversation.
Oh, sorry.
On general comment, but I will tell you, we appreciate the work that your organization does. You are truly a community trustee and a treasurer, and I'm certain that conversations with our executive directors that occur following this meeting, I'm sure there'll be opportunities for collaboration.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, everyone.
Our next speaker is Mr. Ted Granger. Granger, welcome back.
Thank you.
You know the drill?
Okay. Well, take your seat. Robin Hester Thompson, director. In order to read public comment, does not propose to consider and listen to the conversation, but I will certainly defer to my senior colleague. Because what I'm saying, I can't laugh at you.
And then the whole that, dig it all home, stop.
Robin, you're a celebrity.
Mr. Chair, no, I just wanted to, Rob, and survive and thrive, just want you echo what you said, Mr. Chair, about all the great work they do in the community, human trafficking, bringing attention to it, and they got a great podcast. And I have, listened to the podcast a couple of times where they're, bringing awareness to human trafficking, telling businesses and individuals to look for signs of human trafficking. And it's a great. So they do a lot in our community to not only address human trafficking, but they do protect many of our children that are homeless, children that are involved in families with domestic abuse. And I have been personally, well, officially at my office with Robin and a couple of people that work with her, just talking about what they do is try to see how we be more assistance to them, to this council, to the county, to other avenues, because they do provide a great service to our community. So I just want to say thank you for all the hard work that you guys do that survive.
Thank you so much, Mr. Appreciate that. And thank you for mentioning our podcast. We only interview survivors, and we know that as a survivor-based agency, it's really important for us always to be right voices of survivors. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
No, ma'am, no problem, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we will welcome Mr. Ted Granger.
Thursday. It's evidently your color.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. It's a pleasure to be here. It's great to see all of you folks who've been here since the beginning. Thanks so much for being here and hanging in there and doing it. Thank you to all of y'all for doing the work, the good work that you do. I came down from New Jersey. I swear to God, I never say all y'all. But there you go. Also like to give a shout out to staff, Seeker and her crew for working the way they do. You guys really do a great job. Been long hours doing the will of council. So thank you. I'm here today because I listened to the executive committee meeting last week, and I was thrilled to hear you bring up Amendment 3. Mr. Mitchell, I am 100% with you. This council is prohibited by law from advocating for or against any issue or anybody that's up for election. I was disappointed to hear, not to hear though, what you guys could do and what you will do going down the road. November is just right around the corner. And, you know, from what I read in the paper, it looks like the council could take a tremendous hit, which means not the council taking a hit, it means the community taking a hit for the children and families that you serve. And it would be devastating. So I'm just here today to remind you of those famous words from Thomas Jefferson, who said, whenever the people are well informed, they can be trusted with their own government. And from Ronald Reagan, who said the founders believed a nation that governs itself like ours must rely upon an informed and engaged electorate. There's going to be rhetoric flying both ways across the aisle when Amendment 3 comes. And I believe it's imperative this council get out there in front and with all of that other stuff and say what the facts are. And I believe, I'm not a lawyer anymore, I'm retired. I believe the law does allow the council to educate and inform and make sure that people aren't swayed by the rhetoric, but in fact are swayed by the facts. So thank you, and I look forward to hearing your discussion on it at some point when you're going to discuss it.
Thank you so very much. We appreciate you and thank you for everything.
Yes.
Really, it's great to see you.
It is. Good to see you guys.
That concludes our public comment, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you so very much. Next up, I will now turn it over to, we'll now have our general counsel update for Mr. Rowe.
Yes, sir. Thank you. There are two updates. One is that on June 1st, the lawsuit brought by the Children's Services Council against Haley Carpentry USA was resolved in the council's favor. The court entered a judgment basically awarding the council the monies that were in dispute for the recollection or knowledge of those who might not be aware. Community Carpentry was a recipient of funding, did not live up to their obligation to provide services with that funding. CSC brought lawsuit to prove the monies that were awarded was successful in that lawsuit. Again, was resolved on June 1st. The result of the lawsuit is that the council will have essentially a lien against any real property or personal property owned by the entity in the county. At such time as that property is liquidated, the council will receive some portion thereof liquidation to repay it for the money that was awarded in the final judgment. There's interest that 8.5%. That money will accrue and be due in owing at such time as it occurs. It may be that never happens because the carpentry group doesn't own any real or personal property or property of value. However, at the council's direction, we brought the suit with the intent that it's important to demonstrate the obligations from our grants very seriously, and if they don't meet their end of the bargain by providing services they're contracted for, we won't say either by. Might answer the questions about that.
Well, I don't have a question. I do have a comment. Thank you. And a comment to anyone, a taxpayer who's listening, because it was your money that was stolen. A would-be vendor who is not certain whether or not the 10 of the members of this council, the executive director or general counsel, take the role of being good stewards of the public's money seriously. Think again, because we do. I don't care if it's $15, $15,000, or $150,000. It's not our money. It's our money to watch over. And what Mr. Van Williams, who is the owner of community carpenter, whatever it's called, did is wrong. And he owes us this money. And Mr. Rowe, I realize that the chances of us being able to collect, are probably slim and none with Slim thinking about leaving town. I would just say though, that because of what we did with the city of Tallahassee, who's owed $12,500 from, the same gentleman, I know followed the path that we followed. So that's two judgments that will be held against him. And no one in Leon County will ever give that man money. And that's a good thing. So I appreciate your efforts and for taking it so seriously.
Thank you so very much. Thank you, Mr. Rowe.
One further point, sir. Now that we have the entry of a judgment by the court, if the council's wishes, we can refer the matter to the state attorney's office. This is a civil proceeding. We can refer it to the state attorney's office. Potential criminal prosecution on the basis that it is essentially that. It would be up to the state attorney's office to determine whether or not to bring the charge ultimately, but we could certainly refer it to them.
I would love that. If you need a motion from the council, I will absolutely.
All right, there a motion? I'm sorry, you have a comment?
Yes, sir, thank you. I again want to thank, the council attorney. Diligence on this particular, but I guess my concern is you got a final judgment, but it's against a corporation, not against an individual. And in pursuing this case, if you see any ground, you know, piercing a corporate veil where you actually say that it's a corporation, but it's actually this person. If you see any expenditures or anything where we could potentially pierce the corporate veil, go after the individual. And if you did, I'm not sure if, but I don't think that it needs to be referred to the state attorney. But the corporation holds the judgment, not the individual. And if you respond to that, any facts where the corporate veil could be pierced and said individualized against this movement.
We did not see so we'll go after the owner and provider. One of the reasons why some might incorporate in the first place is to shield ourselves to some extent from judgments. At this point, I think really the further step
And my other question is Chair, and I think you answered that, is if we identified any property owned by the corporate, and I think you probably said for that, it could be attached. It's not in the name of the corporation, I think it would be all try to tag it in disability. He had insulated himself as far as we're concerned, as far as service provided with this corporation, which is an entity. And we sued the entity now, and you didn't sue him, the corporation and disability, which we could have done. But I know we found whatever reason not to do it. Right, but we have instances where we file suit against the corporation and against the individual, but that can happen.
The reason for that is that the contract by which the monies were awarded were with the entity itself, not with the provider for assets.
I know you scrutinized it, otherwise I know we would have brought him in, but since he wasn't probably not so sure.
We did do some diligence as part of bringing a suit to see what there might be out there for assets. Didn't find it. In fact, during the course of the suit, we didn't refer that for his at all. To
Oh, that were, I think,
language advance, and come to hearing this suspected people. After effective service, constructive, we were able to find him, serve him, published service basically. He was basically unavailable.
so they never sent it to the county. But if he knew that he was pretty much judged, his corporation pretty much judgment, they don't own anything. Why even they did, why, they people just have judgment and that's it. Okay, that's like I have, it's true. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Oh, I'm sorry, yes,
And
ma'am.
you go ahead, it's
No,
about this.
hold on. We did not go back into.
Okay, did we, because of this, obviously, because I was not here when it started, like, did we change any of the way we give money? Yes, okay, and then is there a way to put in the, contract or whatever we have with these organizations to clause to make the person who is over, like, the business to be held responsible if we can't, you see what I'm saying? Is there a way of, like, a legal language that we can?
Right, so we contract with the entity, not with them.
Right.
And so I would have to have our attorney look and see if that's possible.
Because
By practice, that's not normal. Something.
Right, okay. But it's not something we can't do.
I don't know that. I would defer to general counsel to see if that's something to do. I will caution that we could get ourselves into whether people want contract with us, if there was some sort of dual responsibility, but I would allow general counsel.
I just think it's just absurd that we're giving taxpayer money to these entities and these businesses. No one is able to be held accountable.
But first of all, if I may, I would not call it absurd. Right? We entered, well, we have not done anything absurd.
I'm not saying I'm saying though, it is taxpayer money and this person has disappeared, but no one is responsible.
And so we have done, as council, as at the behest of this board, have done everything that is legally available to us to recoup the monies which were not.
Right, and I'm saying moving forward.
And so subsequently put things in place for our discussions as a board, we put in protections such that there's a level of monitoring before we continue to make awards across the course of any award that we make to prevent that type of action occurring in the future. I just think that I don't want you to think, particularly since you just joined us, that we have not done our due diligence.
That's not what I'm saying.
So we have done everything as he has described that is available to us. Then after further inquiry, we have since found that to do anything else would require a determination of this board to make a decision if we wanted to go after him. And according to what our other counsel on the board said, that because of the protection found in the judgment having been made, of the award being made to the company and not to an individual, we are where we are.
Right, and that's not what I'm saying. Okay, I'm saying, is there a way moving forward we can, I get we put stuff in place, that's fine. But I'm just saying if we're with these entities, at the end of the day, someone owns these entities. So having someone responsible, that is what I'm asking. That was the question.
I think what you're asking about is, can we ask a person, somebody to have that corporate protection to act as a guarantor of contracts so that can't proceed against the company. It's basically judgment proof. We would have recourse to go to the guarantor. It's almost like a co-signer.
Okay.
And we have to, first of all, if we can do it, I'm glad to research whether or not that's even an option. But if we did something like that, we have to determine, is that a policy that applies across the board, or is it only for certain grant recipients? So what is the measuring criteria by which who is responsible to bring your right. It's not. But yeah, it might, to Stephen's point, it might have a discouraging effect as far as
Right.
Yes, I'm sorry.
No, no, no.
You were next.
Okay. So, two quick things. One, there's sort of two categories. What we fixed was the larger category, the ones that we had larger contracts with, and there's now sort of financial conditions where they have to have reserves that we can go back. This was a SIPS, and I don't think that policy falls to SIPS. These are smaller grants. I'm not a lawyer and I don't play one on TV. However, I do know that you can hold someone personally liable for the money that, and Mr. Rowe can find out specifically how to do it. I think that would be a good idea because we don't have the protection under the SIPS program that we do under larger contracts. And I don't think it would have a chilling effect, and only because in this case, we gave somebody $15,000 and they never lifted a finger. They didn't provide service one. They never showed up. They cashed the check and never showed up. The second thing is as it relates to the state attorney. Referring it to the state attorney, he may come back and say, we're not taking this one, it's too small of an amount. And that's fine. But there is criminal activity that was performed by an individual who cashed the check and is responsible for that corporate entity. I looked up everything on Mr. Van Williams, and Mr. Van Williams is the only person linked to this corporate entity. So it's worth it. Again, the state attorney will likely saying we're very busy and no thank you. But I definitely think it's worth at least referring and allowing that.
Mr. Jones?
Yeah, quickly, thank you, Mr. Chair. Is there any benefit in making the referral to the state attorney in concert with the city and any others that we're aware that were defrauded, like we would go in concert with the state attorney, at least those that we know? So that it's not a $15,000 issue, it begins to show both a pattern and a larger dollar amount.
I believe the city was also sued. I don't know where they are in that process. But,
What would you do?
reaching out to the city, they likewise process. So presenting both challenges at the same time. It's not just
And if there's what, $12,000, there's $12,000. This is superintendent.
Yes, earlier Mr. Mitchell talked about swimming nine. Okay, swimming nine, take the first step and probably that, yes. It may be the same thing going to say the print office, but at least it sends a message. Take it serious. Do all legal remedies we can. Try to get that money back. Whether have it or not, that would be up to the handle, but at least it sends a message like the file of suit. All behind it. People know that we are going to take every measure we possibly can, or that we're not happy about what's transpired.
Just the commissioner.
Oh, yes, Mr. Chair, and I was just thinking too, Mr. Rowe, and I think the city has several cases against this entity. And if they in turn get found judgment, which we would see they probably will. In referring to the state attorney, we could establish a pattern. Somebody mentioned the word fall. So if we could very well establish a pattern of creating these entities, applying and then receiving the money falsely with no intent to provide service. So, the city also has a final judgment, and I eventually agree with Councilman Mitchell, that it would help to refer, just let them look at.
With help or hurt?
So
With help or hurt?
it wouldn't hurt to refer, because it could establish a pattern.
Just the final thank you. And
Because I want to.
really a thank you to Ms. Snyder and Screen for their tenacity. I know you got tired of hearing from me. I know you did, but I also know how serious both of you took it. And I think it's important that everybody understand that both Dina and Sika stuck with this and I appreciate it. So thank you.
So, I'm really. Where we going? All right, so thank you, Mr. York, for your update. Just to say,
Victor, you can make a motion or?
I did. I'm sorry. I made a motion that we refer this to the state attorney.
so we're gonna do that, right? So let me just say. As unfortunate as this instance has been, and I'm not the guy to say I told you so. But I told you so, right? And we made this, right? But there's a larger picture here in terms of what we do as the council. And there's a reason why we go after the agency and not the individual in terms of the recruitment of these funds. Because here now, if we tell the human services community that there is the penalty of incarceration because of the ill intent of a person who may have been the person who served as a fiduciary agent for whom the award has been made, who would take that risk? And I'm just suggesting to you all that there's a reason why you even caused us through this conversation when we first started to go down this road, because we do realize that there's a reason for persons incorporating themselves and us making these awards. And that is why we now do the due diligence to ensure that the person for whom we make these awards have a track record, that there is measures of in terms of performance of the awards that are now taken into consideration. So we didn't just do policy changes just for the larger organizations, but for the smaller ones as well, because we were nobly intended in terms of how we chose to build capacity and have other people to join us and having grassroots efforts to be able to be responsive in our target community. I think we put the types of protections in place. And I think that and I have joined you in my displeasure about the award having been made and the subsequent actions that have occurred. And I would want something to happen to them. I would want us to do everything that is available to us. However, when we talk about then potentially bringing criminal charges in these situations, it starts a precedent that I'm not certain if that's a precedent that we as a Children's Services Council would want to start down. So we can make the motion, we can have a second, we can vote it up and down, but as a former human services provider, and I don't know if that's what we necessarily want to do, and I would just caution us as we talk about what we're going beyond this, because we then create precedent for us to be making those kinds of decisions.
Well, just in an effort to advocate for my position remains. There's a couple of distinctions here. This man applied for funds and did not do one thing except cash the check. Nothing. Never made an effort to train people, never made an effort to do what he was contracted to do. If we're saying because he's hiding behind a corporate entity, we can't go after him, and everybody will just come in and hide behind a corporate entity. The financial mechanism that we are using, as far as I know, we did not include SIPs. This is not the whole idea of SIPs is the people who are doing it don't have the financial wherewithal. So it would be a typical, like Mr. Van Williams, I've got this great idea. No, I haven't been in business for 5 years or 10 years. I don't have $350,000 in my bank account, but I've got this really good idea. We're gonna build capacity by giving him $15,000. That doesn't give him the right to hide behind anything. And the other thing is, we're not, pursuing we are referring it to the state attorney and allowing the state attorney to make a determination as to whether criminal activity occurred. And whether it's $15,000 or 15,000 plus 12,500 of the cities, I think it's an important message that we send. He stole money, and he's the only one who benefited from the money. He's the whole corporate entity is Mr. Van Lytics. So that's my pitch.
So if you made a motion, you said?
Yes, sir.
And I'll second the motion. All right.
All right, we have a motion and a second that we would do what?
That we would refer this to the state attorney's office.
All right, any other ratings
Yes, well, that,
or any comments?
yes, yes. I'd like to see if this individual would accept a friend amendment.
I'm always willing to consider your.
And, I'm thinking that perhaps if we had more information about the city, if the city experienced similar facts, cash the check, didn't do anything, that might very well show a pattern of fraud, pattern of practice. But right now, we just have a judgment against a corporate entity. And, Florida law allows individuals and businesses to create corporate entities. And believe it or not, in many instances, it is to insulate themselves from a financial standpoint. It is that, that's unspoken rule. But I would feel more comfortable in referring it to the state attorney. If we had some similar facts, number one, from the city, that they have a final judgment, that they let a contract, or they let money to this particular entity, no work was done at all. So to me, that establishes an intent to defraud. You get the money, didn't do absolutely anything. So if you did it with Children's Services Council, and you did it with the city, then I think perhaps we might have a pattern and a practice which could substantiate intent to defraud. You see what I'm saying? So I would like to do a substitute motion to allow Mr. Rhodes to gather that information, bring it back to us, and then I think, Councilman Mitchell will be more informed about who's there.
You know what? I'm okay with that. I do think that Ms. Snyder has some information in terms of what the city endured. I don't know where they are in their. I would be okay waiting because we've never, other than stood out in front of City Hall to for a press conference where I was looking at it from my office window. We have not succeeded in ever finding Mr. Van Wayne. So waiting one more meeting, I can certainly be patient as the guy who made the motion. Superintendent, are you good? Good.
Research.
No.
We don't,
I know.
we don't have to wait for the city.
Yeah, you made the motion. You
I know.
accept friendly, you accept friendly, and the rest of you vote.
Wait, you got more facts. That Mr. Rhodes.
Can I just ask Ms. Snyder if she could provide the information that she knows regarding the city?
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know. So I'm gonna jump in. Only because she doesn't have any official information. What we found out was provided to us by Fred Springer, who was the original member of our legal team that did all of this work. And then we had a newspaper article that said it's going down. That's all. We don't have a copy of the suit or
We do not have a copy of the suit, in, communications with the city. It was brought to our attention that they had funded by, $25,000. Half of it, excuse me, having been dispersed for $12,500.
And no work had been done, to my knowledge, at that time. I am not aware at this point as to where they are with the matter, or if anything has been solved further by Mr. Backwood. So,
You accept it. Now we go back to the original.
I know.
Regular vote.
Okay,
I just want us to be informed.
okay, I will accept that, amendment that we ask Mr. Rowe to come back with two things. One, an issue of whether we can attach some sort of personal liability to the six. And two, to come back with more information regarding the city, whether or not there's a pattern. Yes, sir, that's
First,
for,
first substitute.
Yes.
And he's accepted.
The original motion is that we would turn this over to the state attorney's office. Your motion, the substitute motion that you have accepted is that we will do so following the securing additional information.
We'll decide what to do, so once we get it.
All right. All right, we have a motion, a substitute motion on the table. All those in favor, signify.
Wait,
Oh, that's right, public comment. Any public comment?
there is no public comment.
All right.
Okay, can I? Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't see, that doesn't get my. I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't want to interrupt, but I see, Commissioner, where you're coming from. I just want us to remember that is, at the end of the day, it shows what we are doing with taxpayer money, and this is a serious thing, whether we go after the person or not. We're taking it serious, and that's also families that are not being helped. So whether we have that information or not, I think it shows, hey, we're not okay with this. So that's all I want.
Thank you. We spent 40 minutes on this. We're now on a vote. I think my time is worth $15,000. All those in favor of the substitute motion is provided, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, aye. Aye. All right, what's the roll call on that, Holly?
I believe
Mr. Fail.
that it was without anyone weighing in from the, it was
Ms.
5-1.
Richards and Ms. Owen.
We're voting on the substitute motion, correct?
Yes,
Aye.
aye. All right, so what's the final count, Mr. Fail?
One, sir.
6-1.
Yes,
The superintendent, I voted against.
Oh, I didn't hear a no, I apologize. 5-2.
5-2. All right, thank you. All right, then, that applies. Next up, I need a motion for Ms. Melissa Walker from DCF to join us virtually.
Mr. Chair, I will move that we allow Councilmember Walker to join us for.
I say.
Then properly moved and seconded, Ms. Walker be allowed to join us virtually. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, thank you. Ms. Walker, thank you for joining us. Can you hear us?
I can.
Thank you so much for joining us. We thank you for being a part of the meeting. We're going to resume our meeting with a special report coming now from Mr. Derek McGee, who is our legislative director for the Florida Association of. Yes. Thank you, sir.
Hey, sir. Hope you all are doing well. Good to see you all. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you all for the opportunity to be here. So I've been asked to kind of just speak about all the info on property tax. You all have a previous presentation that was done. I want to kind of share where things are, where things are progressing. So as we are aware by now, that the legislature on June 2nd voted to pass House Bill 1, which is complex and it's going to be on the ballot in November. There is an active lawsuit. Group has filed a lawsuit challenging the language of the amendment that will be reviewed by the court with all indication of on the ballot in November. From that, if it were to pass, what will happen is legislature is going to be in a special session, probably in December at the earliest. And that's up in this, probably in December to implement what has passed. Implementation is important because at that point, that's really when you start getting the details of how it's going to be implemented. So right now is, I'll use the word conceptual, but it's not conceptual, but the actual details of implementation will happen through a special session. At that point, the legislature will then give direction to local governments on how they will implement this, how they want to look at this first in that regard. I think it's also important to put on the record, this is not rumor, but this is the truth. There are several groups that are conversing, planning to convene post July 1. A lot of groups are waiting for the governor to take budget action before they actually take a position one way or another for fear of vetoes. And that's not a rumor, that's factual in that regard. There will be opponents and proponents for this. And I think that's not a surprise by anyone. The governor has also come out of recent and in press conference over the last couple of weeks and expressed the legislature ultimately voted upon. He was not 100% favorable, so they did one amendment in education that kind of took away a piece of the governor's overall proposal. Also, there was a trust fund being created that was put money in there to help out not just the Train counties, but any county to make an argument if they were going to be negatively impacted by the passage of the budget, but by the amendment. Incoming House Speaker Sam Garrison has been very consistent for almost the entire year. So in February of last year, the governor first mentioned the elimination of property taxes. So probably a month later, Sam Garrison made mention he was not in favor of backfilling, basically meaning he did not want to create a pot of money or a trust fund to put money inside of it to backfill the county's arguments of losing revenue. Legislation did take action in voting not in favor of the trust fund, so that's important to know as well. So when you hear local governments raising concerns about it, bill goes over, that is part of it. As it relates to groups, Association of County, League of Cities, special districts, so on and so forth, there are so many groups that are figuring out what the impact will be upon them in that regard. The League of Cities and Association of Counties have been being together in conversations, trying to get others to be a part of a conversational convention and kind of talk through what the impact looks like, but that ends up ultimately being in that regard. And so what's important is for the details once again, right now, the exemption is about $50,000. If this were to pass in November and be implemented, as of January 1st, 2027, it would increase $150,000. And then by January 1st of 2028, it would be $250,000. And for those persons who moved to Florida, they would get an initial $50,000. And then they would have to be in the state for 5 consecutive years, but they can actually qualify for overall homestead exemption. So that's important to know about all this in that regard. The governor's office has created a website allowing persons to put their home address in there to determine what their exemption would look like if this were to go into were to pass. Lastly, I'll say this, and happy to take any question. Every 20 years, Taxation and Budget Reform Commission convenes. It's in Florida's Constitution. So 2027 is year 20. And so they're going to be a convening of the TBRC next year. TBRC is made up of governor appointees, House and Senate appointees, and then designated seats on the TBRC. Look at all things taxes, right? It's not just property taxes, but everything else. So that's important to know. At least one, if not two, of the Republican gubernatorial candidates have made known that if this is not passed in November, they'll be bringing it back up if they were to win showing the office in January. So the conversation about property taxes is not going away. From the CSC perspective, as already mentioned, I represent facts, which you all are part of that alliance. So there's been conversations there. No formal position has been taken. I want to make sure that's clear from fact perspective. It's just conversation, really doing. They brought in the economists and Bob and to kind of look at each CSC and what the impact will be to each CSC. No CSC currently does their full meal as allowed. Everyone is below with their go up to a 1 meal. No one actually is actually getting that. So what does that look like if this were to pass? What had to happen for each area to be able to survive in that regard? So that's important to know on the record as well. There's no formal position taking place. Again, most of the groups that will probably take a position or another are all kind of taking a neutral as of right now, waiting post budget. The governor's office actually has been on record saying that they know that groups are waiting for the budget actually take place before they come out. I have said to groups, and I believe that this is going to be a very expensive campaign, one way or another, whether you for or against, will be a good amount of money invested in arguing for or against it. And so, Mr. Chair, I'm happy to stop there, take any question. I think there's one more note that I want to mention. There is no other state. Florida would be the first state to have complete elimination of their property tax. That's a big deal, right? So I think that's important as well. The governor has been consistent from in February of last year, reason for doing this. The language that came out, meaning have one way or another, but there will be some action after November if this were to pass. It will require legislature to put that in place. The governor has said that he wants to convene special session in December while he was busy the sitting governor. So that'll work itself out one way or another. That's what I wanted to share. I'm happy to take any question, try to clarify anything.
Question? It was, I'll get some stuff with it.
No, it's all good. So thank you.
Yes, sir.
So you mentioned earlier that Children's Services Council, I guess by statute, can pass a referendum up to 1 mil.
I'm sorry, okay. That's perfect. Thank you for that. Have a minute.
We should half of them. I know we just did a half in Leon County, but as an example. School district, the city and the county can go up to 10 mils in total. We have it. I think the county is about 8.4. The city is 4.1 or 4.2. We're at 5.7, but we're allowed up to 10. I don't know if anyone looked at or received the lecture sent a impact analysis from the property appraiser's office. Y'all see that?
We got it. I didn't.
So what they've said is in year one, that the Children's Services Council will lose $1.7 million of revenue. And in year two, it goes from 150 to 250, an additional $1 million for a total of 2.7. I don't know if y'all were aware of that, not aware of that.
Yes, I provided the estimations to the council a couple of times.
Right.
As well as emailing out, and that comports.
And that would take effect actually, not in this current budget year, but the following budget year.
Right.
I didn't record. Ms. Green is forwarding all that to us. I appreciate it. If not, here's an update, she said.
Any other questions? Mr. McGee, a wise man once said, I cannot unknow that which is known or unsee that which is seen. So thank you so very much for sharing that with us today. It was said by Reverend McGee back in 2012. So thank you so very much, sir.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, my friend. All right, next up, please take the chair. Yes, sir.
Nick, I had briefly, bring up.
Yes,
That being state election laws. The state election laws prohibit local governments from spending public funds on political advertisements or any other communication sent to electors regarding a referendum or election. What that means is cities, counties, special districts such as the Children's Services Council not spend from their funds anything resembling political advocacy and take part in a vote no campaign or a vote yes campaign. Can produce mailers, flyers, sublers that are distributed to electors. That does not prohibit the board members from sharing their opinions on any matter subject to election at any time. The prohibition is against the spending of money of the Children's Services Council or broadcasting. So your discussions with the public or others, you're at liberty at any time to express your opinion on the matter and to advocate for an outcome you'd like to see. But thank you, that is spending money at Children's Services.
And Mr. that also goes for the Alliance because they receive 100% of their funding from the councils and the trusts.
I think that's right. The statute is couched in terms of the limitation against local governments, which they are not. But clearly, the messaging they think is sourced from. I don't know what the stance of that or person's legacy.
And that was really my point in our workshop, and that came out of the workshop and to the executive committee. My comments were: we are governmental and we are not allowed to take that position. Ms. Green is the chair of the Alliance. To me, we've just got to be extra careful. Again, all of us are entitled to our opinions and can Yeah, stream it from the rooftops, but as a council, we can't.
Yes, I do have a question about that. So could a council member potentially appear in a, commercial, an ad, support or not supporting passing of the property tax amendment, and represent themselves as a member of the Children's Services Council? Or would you be, represent yourself as Paul Mitchell, not Paul Mitchell, treasurer of the Children's Services Council, is telling you to vote no on?
The limitation is not speaking on behalf of yourself in your role as a member of the board. It's the spending of money. You could not buy a media spot.
Right, but you should appear and represent yourself as a member of the council to try to influence people to vote a certain way.
So long as public funds are spent to broadcast this.
Okay. Sure, that's what the school board members about having sales tax. As members of the school board, publicly telling people to vote yes and support the renewal of the path. You're saying it's just money, it's not.
That's the way the statute is written. Okay, but the government cannot spend public funds on political advertisement. So that
It does prohibit members of a school board or members of a council representing themselves as a member of a council and publicly endorse the position on that. Yes.
the way the statute is.
I believe it. Yeah, not worried about where the money came, where the money came from. I just didn't know that we could represent yourself.
Council members, any final comments before we move on the agenda? All right, we will now have committee reports starting with the executive committee. That report is in your package. Are there any questions? Any comments from those present? Seeing none, may I have a motion and a second to approve the report?
I will move, so it's there, but, the only thing that didn't get done was the nominating, committee appointments. So I feel weird about moving it because we didn't do anything with it. That was gonna fall to you, Mr. Fair.
That's going to be next, so we're now,
Oh.
we're just on the executive committee.
Okay.
Just accept the committee report.
Oh, just the June 10th.
Yes, sir.
Or by that, I will move the committee report. That's like very, yeah.
Didn't see you over there.
I just threw that out for the first time saying. I'm moving.
Is there a second?
Sir.
No, it's been properly moved and seconded, accept the executive committee report. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. And we've got, did we hear from both, virtual members, Ms. Walker?
Maybe I'm you.
All right, for the nominating committee appointments, Commissioner Cummings will serve as chair of the nominating committee. How many persons appointed to the nominating committee? 3. Mr. Superintendent? Will you please serve on the nominating committee?
Sure.
Thank you. Ms. Vanderlinden, will you please serve on the nominating committee?
I can't say her name, I should.
I lost it, but I didn't.
I'm playing.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Thank you so very much. So with that being said, we have now appointed our executive committee, our nominating committee to include chaired by Leon County Commissioner Carolyn Cummings and joined by Superintendent Hannah and Mrs. Austin Vanderlinden. I said it right, Vanderlinden. My bad. All right, next we'll move to the report on our strategic goals workshop. So, yes. Okay. Oh, no, Ms. Green.
So thank you, Chair Jones. So all council members should have a document that says handout. And it's the documents that back up the strategic goals that were reviewed during the workshop on Saturday, June 6th. So what I am going to do is read the strategic goals and remind the council that you are hopefully moving to approve the strategic goals. So on page 13 of your packet, you'll see the strategic plan 26 through 2030 under kindergarten readiness, increase kindergarten readiness rates in Title I schools by at least 5 percentage points by 2030. The indicator is the progress monitoring 1 of 770 or better by school, with the baseline being fall 25. Under youth success, increase, and there are 3 under youth success, increase the percentage of 3rd graders in Title I schools reading on grade level by at least 5 percentage points by 2030. The indicator will be the progress monitoring 3, the FAST ELA, with a score of 485 or higher by school. The baseline will be spring 2025. Increase the percentage of Leon County youth ages 10 through 17 reporting positive mental health by 10 percentage points by 2030. The indicator will be the FYSAS table for depression, suicidal ideation, and behavior in the past 12 months. The baseline will be year 2024. Increased post-secondary enrollment and employment among Leon County Leon County young adults by 10% by 2030. There are 2 indicators: the post-secondary enrollment rate for residents age 18 through 24, that's called the ACS S1401, and then the employment rate for residents ages 20 through 24, the ACS S2301. The baselines will be 2024 for post-secondary enrollment rate and 2024 for employment rate. Under family well-being, there are 4 goals. Increase the number of families actively engaged with family resource centers by 25% by 2030. The indicator is the number of families who demonstrate ongoing participation with a family resource center through repeat utilization of services, programs, activities, or navigation supports reported by individual center. The baseline is to be determined as far as what the measurement will be, but we will look at 2025 as that baseline. Moving to page 14, reduce the rate of verified child abuse and neglect cases in families living in neighborhoods served by family resource centers by 10% by 2030. The indicator would be verified child abuse and neglect victims per 1,000 children younger than age 18 residing within family resource center service areas measured as a rolling 3-year average. Again, we'll determine what that measurement will be as far as the baseline, but we will look at 24-25. Reduce the number of youth experiencing homelessness or housing instability in Leon County by 5% by 2030. There are 2 indicators: the number of children and youth experiencing homelessness reported through the Big Bend Continuum of Care point in time inventory, and the number of children and youth experiencing homelessness that's the duplicate. So the indicator is only 1, the number of children and youth experiencing homelessness reported through the Big Bend Continuum of Care point in time inventory. The baselines will be for families in transition and point in time. So actually the indicator is correct, it's 2. One will deal with the actual youth, the other will deal with the families. We will use 2026 as the baseline, and then 22 through 23 for families in transition as the baseline. reduce the percentage of food insecurity in the county by 10% by 2030. The indicator percentage of children experiencing food insecurity as reported through Feeding America's Map the Meal Gap. The baseline will be from 2023. And the last goal is in capacity building. Establish baseline organizational capacity metrics for community investment partner compliance by the end of 2026 and ensure partners achieve a compliance score of at least 85% by the end of 28. This is our only goal where the end date is 2028. The indicator is CSC Leon Organizational Capacity Assessment and Compliance Framework, measuring performance across governance, financial management, data reporting, contract compliance, and program operation. And we only still need to determine what that baseline will be. As you know, we also looked at the objectives that would go with each of these goals. That is contained in the handout that has the draft strategic plan, the draft budget that we'll look at later, and then the 3 budget proposals that we will look at for the FRCs. So with that, I will turn it back over to the chair to take questions, and I'm available for questions as well as our team, and hopefully move toward 7.
So, first of all, I want to thank the team for everything they did to prepare us for that day. Once again, I just think that when we come together to collaborate, I'm sorry, no, go on. But I just thought it was a really worthwhile conversation. The repartee, the conversation about everything that we talked about, we envision our community. I mean, there was time well spent on that day, and I'm just grateful that we had an opportunity. One, because of the leadership of our previous vice chair and the task force that he convened to talk about the issues that provided the framework for our conversation, the subsequent decisions that we ultimately made and recommendations. I'm just excited about this, what will be the next era for the Children's Services Council. We came to consensus on things that are representative and implemented of our shared values in terms of how we see our being responsive to the needs of our children, and also working in collaboration with partners from across the expanse of our community. This is a great time for the Children's Services Council. So I'm best grateful to everybody who's able to participate. Mr. Superintendent, we understand you're not being able to be there, but I appreciate all your input from the very beginning of the process when we first came together as a strategic task force committee. So with that, Mr. Mitchell and any other board members would like to have offer any additional comments.
So first, my comments, I agree with you, and I think it was a great idea, Mr. Chair, that we all get together because we don't have the ability to talk to one another outside of this room on things that come before us as a council. And it was important to me as a council member to find out what are other people's priorities. I know my own, but you learn an awful lot by going through that. And we did this at the very beginning with our little dots where we placed them, and that got us started. The workshop gave us the ability to, especially the newer members of the council who weren't part of that dot process, to allow them to sort of share what their focus is. And I think that's what this council's about. It's not just, what we think the priorities of the council should be, but taking into consideration all council members and all of their desires and what we should accomplish. And so as I lead into my question, it's meant for Commissioner Cummings, you, and making sure that you feel like the homelessness issue was dealt with. And Austin, with you, that you feel like the mental health issue was dealt with. I mean, it looks exactly like what we voted on, but it's in everything else pretty much I know, so.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to thank, Councilmember Mitchell, for that concern. Overall, I think it was a great way to sit down and look at overall all of our concerns about our children. And I just appreciate the cooperation from other council members, but each one of us had our own little special concerns and interests about our children in this community. And yes, I am satisfied that, what we talked about specifically, individually, pet peeve concerns, I believe it was captured in this document, and I want to thank staff, all of you guys for capturing that. It just thanks the council too for just, having spirit cooperation and being able to look and understand the different council members' concerns, and then we see it right here, exposed and captured in this document. So thank you so much. I'm satisfied with it, Mr. Chair, and thank you for your comments, Councilman.
No, I agree, and, thank you guys for working with me on that one. I know I was not let up, so, but I appreciate it, and, you guys putting up with me, and, yeah, staff for putting it in, and, so, I appreciate it.
The funny part was, Angela, when I was in chair, I was you.
Yeah. No, thank you.
When I wasn't chair. And they were telling me, yes, and I love you. Thank you.
I'm like, not just what your priorities are, but you educated all of us. But I walked away wiser.
Very true.
Low bar for me, but I did. I walked away. I understood why you took the position you took, and I understand the position now, and I wouldn't have. So thank you.
And your, and I agree. Yes, we do, because, you know, I mean, not to replay it all again, but that's the beauty of everyone's perspective, right? That you were able to share with us in terms of what has been your encounter with our young people. And that's the beauty of the diversity of thought found in this table, right? We may not always agree, but we respect one another's opinion and your authority by which we share that information. And ultimately, we saw your point of view manifest in what we have. So thank you. All right, do we vote on this, Bill?
Secret, what are we voting on the handout, or are we voting on what you just read?
You're voting on what I just read, the goal statements, the objectives and strategies in the handout and change.
Good enough. Okay, so I would like to move what you just read. Wherever that is, okay, what you call that.
So you want to move the acceptance of the strategic plan for 2026-2030?
Yes, I did. Thank you.
Is there a second?
I said,
It has been properly moved and seconded that we would accept the Children's Services Council of Leon County Strategic Plan from dating 2026 to 2030. All those in favor signify by, oh, is there public comment?
There's no public comments.
Anybody has anything to weigh in? Nothing? Okay. All right. With that, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And our council members online?
Aye.
Ms. Walker? Thank you. All right. It is passed unanimously. Thank you so very much.
Mr. Chair, we
Yes.
had, and I can't remember if it was a motion that I made, and I just want to make sure that it passed, where we were going to continue to have one of these workshops once a year.
Right?
Yeah. Okay.
Right. I didn't say anything about that, we would always find ourselves at an annual retreat.
right,
And we talked about time being when the school district, the city, and the county all do their annual retreats in January, and you would be in February. So our retreat will be informed by the decision that will come from those three jurisdictional bodies.
Okay.
So we'll calendar it for every year.
And we name the grazing table after Mr. Mitchell.
Yeah.
That's right.
Wait, I think Mark got it next time, right?
Yes, it is. Yes,
Right.
yes, it is, Pedro O'Brien, it's right, but we can still call it.
Right. Right. Next up, we have the Finance and Budget Committee, Mr. Mitchell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Finance and Budget Committee met last week. We bring before you the financials for April 2026. There really were no significant issues that came up. I think there's only one item that we were going to do a budget amendment. It will come in July, like I said. So there's really nothing to see here, except it is the April 2026 financials. Also, we are going to keep having to play with the dates because of when the accountant has to take a couple days at the end of the month before we can get them to Ms. Green. She has tried. She gets them on the day usually of the finance committee. So we're going to try to play with the dates in the future. So you will have in June, May's financials and so on and so forth. In this case, we're still a couple of days off, which is why you're only getting April. But I would recommend that we move the financials for April of 2026.
No second?
I second this.
All right. The properly moved and seconded, we accept the financial for April 2026. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
All right. All right. Look, we're just there.
Oh, I'm sorry, because it didn't have an asterisk. I thought we just did.
It does. So I've also need a motion for the Finance and Budget Committee. We just passed the financial.
Well, the financials has the denotes that.
It could happen, but we do need to just accept it.
Oh, yeah.
I would recommend that we move the report from the finance committee.
Second, is there a second? Second. Then probably moved and second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you so very much. Now we come to draft budget.
Yes, item 3 is a draft budget, which it's the beginning of, I'm gonna turn this over to Vasika, but this is the beginning of the process by which we are going to build our budget absent anything else happening in the world. This is for fiscal year 2026, 2027. It is based on our current commitments. It's based on our current overhead administrative budget. And I think you'll see we continue to do the 10% of for a reserve. Sort of everything falls into line, and Sika can walk us through it. But it is the beginning. Next month, we're in June, right? So the finance committee is going to get together to begin to sort of hammer out the details that will, the full committee will get to deal with as it relates to the millage rate. So we're building the budget, sort of doing this one step at a time, figure out how much we need, and then we will figure out how much we need, how much we have, and what should be the recommended millage rate. So, Sika, do you want to go through what you did for the finance committee?
Sure. So thank you for the
It's the big one we're working on,
Yes,
right?
so it's the big 11/17 that we will review. Before we do that, if you would turn to page 23.
Do the council members online have this?
Yes, it was emailed out.
All right.
And we're gonna do it, I mean, it's what you're looking at, especially for the ones that Ali and Melissa online, the columns are done by millage rate. The millage rate can be anywhere from 0 to 0.5, but we've done the current millage rate, what would be a rollback millage rate, what our original millage rate was of 0.375, and the maximum. Do not feel like you're locked into one of those categories, and that goes for everyone on the council. It is just giving you a guideline. And with that, I'll turn it back.
you. So I'll bring your attention to page 23, which is the projected evaluation for 26-27. This is as of the estimates provided as of June 1st from the property appraiser's office. And so you will see there, we normally provide you with last year's valuation, this year's valuation, and we show you the various options for millage rates. This is probably a good time for me to bring to your attention that July 1st will be a recalculation of what rollback is. And so that was done this legislative session, and it is committee substitute for Senate Bill 4F, where there is a new formula for recalculation of the millage rate, as well as differences to how increases in your millage rate contort with percentages, and then contort with the percentage or the number of council members that must approve any increase. And so I just want to say that we can come back to that later because it'll make more sense once I go through the budget itself. So the budget you have in front of you, the first column where it says 0.3477, that is our current budget for this year with everything there. The next column is the calculated rollback, which basically brings you about the same amount of money next year that we expect to collect this year. So that is the column with the red numbers. The next column is 0.3477, which is our current millage rate, but you will see that the projection is for more money because the valuations went up. If you look in the purple column where it says increase or decrease, you'll see a 5% there. So if we stayed at our current millage rate, we would realize about 5% more money than we collect this year. That is important because when you get to 10% more, then there is a difference from a simple majority voting on your millage rate to 2/3 and then 3/4, and then the entire council as you get up to the top of the millage rate. So the law says if you go 10% over, then you would have to do 2/3 and then unanimous. So we are okay in that regard at 0.3477 and 0.35. We get to the very first millage rate that this council passed, 0.3755, we are at 13%, which means we would have to have a greater number of approval from the council to pass that millage rate. And then if we go up to 0.5, we are at 51% and would have to have a unanimous decision. So any questions about that? Okay, so I'll bring your attention back to the column under 0.3309. And I'll bring you there because all of the expenses are the same except for the reserves and the collection expense, which is Mr. Mitchell's favorite category in this whole budget. Under 0.3309. So I'm on page 1 of the handout. You will see that ad valorem proceeds is calculated at 95% of collection, which is what we have to do by statute. At rollback, we'll get 9 million. If we go to 0.3477, our current millage, it's 9.5 million. If we go to 0.35, it's 9.57 million. If we go to 0.7375, we're at 10.2 million. And if we go all the way to the $500,000, we're at 13.6 million. We are estimating about a $4.2 million rollover, and that equates to the unallocated and unencumbered funds that were reported at our audit. So if you remember, when we did the calculations, we came up with about $4.5 million. When they did the audit, it was 4.2. So we're using that number for our rollover. And then we have interest computed accordingly. So when you get to the blue line, total of revenues and balances, you will see that the numbers go up as the millage rate goes up. So when we get to reserves, according to our policy, it's 10%, 8% for contingency, 2% for catastrophe, and these numbers all are in line with that. When we get to compensation and benefits, we split it into administrative staffing and then programming staffing, just so that it's clear what is administrative, meaning the operation, and what is really dedicated to programs there. When you add that all together for compensation and benefits, you get 1.167 million for compensation and benefits for all staff. Then we get to contract services, so that's our accounting services, our legal services, and then we have administrative contracting services and program supports. So basically, when you look at under the 3477 in yellow, you'll see that that says 165,000. So 53 of that is administrative contracting. 111 of that is programming contracting, and the definitions, the detail and the narrative is in the notes column to the right. So for contract staffing, we're at 148,200.
Sika?
Yes.
Okay. The finance committee had recommended that we show this, differently, that we show it the way we have traditionally shown it. And you've broken it out into a program. We were going to put as footnotes the programmatic side, so that from an audit standpoint, it showed, and so that if someone from the public were to say, hey, the Leon County Children's Services Council has an administrative cost of X percent, but every other Children's Services Council who sort of does it a little less transparently and puts it into buckets of program versus administrative, that they were comparing apples to apples. And unfairly so, last year when we talked about this, somebody came forward and suggested that our administrative costs were significantly higher than others. And that is because we broke things down into pure administrative and then what was programmatic. But to take assign someone's salary from CSC and to suggest it's part of the program, it was the point that the finance committee made was that wasn't being fully transparent, but we were sensitive to any criticism that we might receive.
I thought that we've intentionally made that distinction, because I remember the conversation about there were some staff that were administrative and programming, so we were like, as whatever the full number was for administrative percentage was somewhere under 15%. And we said that there were other children's services councils, I thought, that made that distinction, and that we were following an example found in other children's services.
It did come up, but that is not what we decided is to continue to do it the same way that we've always done it, which is the most transparent way. And that is, if to tell someone in Leon County that a portion of someone's salary, and I'll use Dina because she is over the program area, we have to have a Dina no matter what. And so when you for people of Leon County to understand how much does it cost to run the Children's Services Council, Dina's salary is there no matter what. It doesn't matter how many programs. If we only funded one program, this is how much it costs. This is the administrative cost of running it. Assigning her salary is to me is sort of hiding the
Well,
money.
now, I wouldn't say it's still reflecting. But, I don't, so the finance committee is yours, this budget is yours.
Well,
Hold on,
yeah.
to present to us. This is a draft, we can report it either in whatever way your committee prefers.
We
But
prefer to do it both ways. That's how we
Well,
voted on it,
But
was,
that's what we've done, isn't it?
no, this is, we prefer to show it exactly as we've shown it for 5 years, and that is not the way the other children's services councils do it, but just pure administrative costs, period. Then to footnote it so that in our audit, it shows that a portion has gone to the program. And that is to sort of satisfy everyone.
All right, so my only concern, right, because I'm big on this, semantics and syntax. The words we choose and the order in which we choose to replace our words. So this is yours, you present this to us. This is a draft now, when it comes back to us, because we're not voting on this budget today, correct?
No, I was,
So what I would suggest is that if you bring this back to us, it is a reflection of however you want the information provided, right? Because I thought that you had viewed this before it came to us. And then,
We did.
so if there's a change that you want to make that change, bring it back. But but I don't want us to suggest that this council, right, where we all working here together collaboratively, but I do recall us having made the distinction about lowering the percentage in terms of what was our administrative cost, which I believe at that time was still less than 15%, but we would break it out because that was an example found at other children's service council. Because I remember that, because as a human service provider myself, the magic number was always falling, the administrative cost falling below 15%. I remember that was always a magic number. So I thought that's why we made that distinction, but if that's, you bring it to
that
us,
was it.
whatever changes you want to make.
That topic did come up, but we did not go that way.
Okay.
It came up in the finance committee, presented this way, and we had this conversation where it is.
So I'd rather you get to the weeds on this document.
Right.
Offline.
Everything in the document the numbers are all correct.
Well, can I just ask, are we saying that administrative and programming should be together rather than
It is,
separate?
it is.
If we have-
If you take everyone in this building, the rent, everything, that is administrative.
Right.
The programmatic side is how much do we give to the providers that are providing the services to us?
Okay, this says programming staff.
Right, so this would
Administrative staff. So all
be,
staff should be together, that what we're saying?
that is.
All staff all should be.
However, we are footnoting it so that a portion of each salary would make its way into the program. So that if somebody came in and said, I don't want criticism thrown at Sika that is undeserved. And she made a point at the finance committee that someone had. The following meeting, I corrected the gentleman's assertion. But this way, it's on the record as, a portion of each salary is, where appropriate, is assigned to the
Gotcha.
program.
So again, in terms of our administrative staffing costs, are we still below 50%?
Yes.
Right. So however you want it reported or found here on the document, we'll make that change, we bring it back to us. Continue the presentation, take us through the end of the budget, and if there are any questions about anything found therein, let's continue. All right?
Okay, so I do need to make a couple of corrections, because of course we looked at it 10 times and we got a miscalculation. So under compensation and benefits, but it's to the best, instead of 1.1, that should be 772,175, all the way across. Under subtotal compensation and benefits, and then under subtotal contract services staffing, that should be 260 all the way across. So I'm not sure how we.
No problem, continue.
All right, so contracted staff other, that's our independent audit, our payroll system, and our disbursement system, 34,000. Our collection expense is gonna vary with the amount of money that comes in. So you'll see there, it could be as low as 364 and as high as $500,000. If we go under communication, we're at 8,500. If we flip the page, go to page 2, dues and subscriptions, we're at 22,500. Information technology, we're at 33,000. That's 22,500. Then under insurance, business insurance, 27,000. I allowed for an increase there. Subtotal for occupancy, 102, and we do only count the rent for our portion of this building in our budget. For office supplies, 4,000. For travel, 26,500, and then miscellaneous, 1,350. And then you'll see our subtotal for expense, and we are under administrative expense at 12. Then the most important, not most important, but the important part is for program investments and supports. So it's categorized in accordance with our strategic goals, family well-being. We're looking at a total of 3 million, with 2 million for family resource centers, 1 million for continuation of family strengthening, and then housing stability at 509, kindergarten readiness at 2.3. So that's housing stability at 70, early learning supports at 250, match funds for early Head Start and Head Start at 550, and this increased from 300 because, as you're aware, the county did realignment of their CHSP categories and removed some funding that was being provided to early Head Start and Head Start for match. And so that is helping to provide that match funding to them. And then the perinatal care coordination program will now merge with transportation, and that continuation is 1.5. The perinatal care coordination, that's Healthy Start.
Merges with what?
So if you look at the transportation, family medical, we have the transportation program that we fund through LIFT.
Got it, okay.
We just took it from a line item and put it all.
Got it.
Youth development, we're suggesting 3.6. So that's year-round, out of school time, youth internship program. We're increasing summer special needs programs so that it can be year-round and not just in the summer. Housing stability, 95. And then the expo that we do and marketing for our out-of-school time, and really all our programs at 15. Then under program supports at 570, that's 300 for SIPs. Capacity building at 75, our software 65, program research and analysis stays at 80, and the community outreach, we did increase it a little bit to 50. This allows under this budget $1,022,000 that is undesignated. If you go up to our current millage rate, it goes to $1,050,000. If you go up to 0.35, it goes to 1.1 million, 375, 1.7 million, and 0.5, 4.7 million. And that's the list.
Yes.
The draft.
There's one thing, and Commissioner, I think, I don't know if you know that that in this budget, we are making up for Head Start and early Head Start funding, which is pretty significant, that the county cut as part of that CHSP. And I know that there was much discussion, but as important as those programs are, the county made a decision to cut them. SECA, I think wisely so, saw that it certainly fit within our bucket and therefore has put it into the budget. But that's why the increase in the Head Start and early Head Start.
I agree, against my outcry.
I watched that vote and I heard you. But I do think it's important that we talk about that. It's real money.
So look at, if I may, SECA, Phyllis Green. Yeah. Almost close.
Just
Queen. Sister, but friend, we, what are the things I would like for us, there's a whole lot that we know is plus. And I think as we talk about our budget and we talk about our decisions, I was intentional about inviting Mr. Key to come here and speak to us tonight. I'd also like for us to hear from, as we continue to talk about this budget, what will also be potentially impacts coming from Leon County and from the United States. And I would like for, as we continue to talk about this budget, I just think we should be informed about what will be the nature of the human service industry. Some things we will not be, I mean, certainly we cannot be the end all be all, but I do know, I also think that we should not make our decisions in a vacuum. I think being aware of what could potentially be the funding impacts from the persons who provide parallel investments to our shared constituents. That I think we should be informed on that. And some of this will not be revealed until the very end, but I think we ought to, when we anticipate some things, I think that those conversations would certainly be worthwhile for us to hear and to have. So when we come at our next meeting, I'd like for those persons that I'd like whoever the United Way would designate, potentially, I guess, we shoot the levy from county. Okay, I just think that it's important that we would also know what's going on. We're having these same types of larger conversations, even in the district. What are these impacts? We're going to have to fill gaps at home. So I just think that's an important part of our discussion. I also want to, I know that as I look at this 1 point, what did you say we have available?
At rollback,
At our present.
at present, if we stay at 0.377.
3.34.
I'm sorry, yes, 0.34, I don't know what I said, yes, 1 million.
Oh, these
Undesignated.
are there still pillars remaining to be funded?
No, but let me, I want to make sure that when Sika says undesignated, that is based on the way she broke out the categories, which is consistent with our budget, how it's been every year, but none of that has been allocated. That 9 million that we raised, so it is basically saying, here's what we are guessing that category's budget is going to be, and here is what we would have left if we spent everything in that category, which we've never done. So there's $1 million that essentially what Sika said is not allocated for one of the categories, not necessarily that each one of those categories has has every program that we're going to fund already decided, because it is.
Well, that's my question. Are there priorities for which I don't recall us having RFP that was designated for? I know we've dealt with the babies, early learning, but have we done any to make any kind of RFP relative to the older children? Like, I think one of the things we have about this career pathways, have we done an RFP in those areas?
So we haven't done an RFP, but we have done some program. That. May I go further to say that now that we have some strategic goals, we would be looking at funding in line with those strategic goals, and of course that age group is part of it.
Okay, because the only reason I said it, because it seems to be, and if I'm wrong, correct me. When we started, we did our DOC exercise. We then created RFPs that were strategically placed for health and families. Took care of the superintendent, who was always talking about the importance of 0 to 5. And we had RFPs dedicated to it, correct?
Hearing it.
Right, then we also had them for early learning, right?
Well, it falls into the categories.
But maybe I think
Because
maybe I may not mistake categories, but as I think about those strategic pillars, it seems as if every year there were a different set of RFPs associated with our priorities. And I just want to know, have we stopped funding according to those, or issuing RFPs according to those categories?
So I think the way to answer that is, it's not a yes, no. It's not a yes, no. The reason it's not a yes, no is because when we first brought back the strategic framework, it was a lot, and it was a lot for council to try to digest. And so what we did was bring funding opportunity in line with that strategic framework at that time. Then if you remember, as we came back to revisiting adopting strategic goals, we took that strategic framework and realigned it under these funding categories. And so we put everything that we had done under these funding categories. So we have priorities, impact areas, and the funding categories lead up into those priorities. So that being said, we didn't do anything. So for example, we didn't do an early learning procurement, but we did partner with the Early Learning Coalition to do the on-ramp program and look at those ALEC samples. So it was more of a sole source. So that's what we've done in that area. But now with the strategic goals, we can be very focused on the programs that we bring to help feed into the accomplishment or the realization of those strategic goals. And I believe the goals that we've adopted hit every area of our priorities and our impact areas in a way that it would be meaningful.
I got you. Okay, so I appreciate what you described. And sometimes I think when you're in the throes of doing things, right? And this is to our credit, because like you said, we've done a great deal. I'll get to you next, Mr. Superintendent. Because, and it is the superintendent that makes me ask the question I've asked, because I remember him standing on a hill one time. Y'all have done, I remember he talked about his, the dots he had placed on 0 to 5. I also recall you having stood on the hill about gun violence, right? In fact, you made it a priority for us about gun violence, and I'm not remembering where we have made the intentional investment in that area, right? And I think what I've been thinking, or have been kind of keeping up with, were the different RFPs, because I know that was one of the biggest ways we were able to have put out a great deal of money. But then we've also had unsolicited proposals that we've also funded. We've had some other projects that have come to us, perhaps in smaller RFQs or contracts. And so I just want to make certain that, because what I would love to, because what will happen, and I guess this will make it easiest for you to make my point, I'm done. Everything that we have invested in, all our current contracts, if I were to see them, right, this is what we awarded in 2024, 22, or whatever. The first year we started awarding contracts. Some of those contracts were for 2 years, some were for 3. And as they come to a close and others are, I would love to see maybe a map or a guide that shows us where these investments have been overlaid across our strategic priorities, such that nothing that we have said was mattered to us or was a strategic priority has not gone unfunded as we talk about going into a grand strategic plan. I know that we've done a great deal of this, but it would, as a person who, particularly when it comes to numbers, I'm more visual, I know that would help me to see what has been the impact. Subsequently, that impact is described the way I've described it. The monies that we've invested, the timeline for the elapsing of those monies, what will ultimately be the reporting of the deliverables and the impacts on those, And then subsequently, as we go into this brand new strategic plan, we'll then be able to see what we sustain and what we end, or what has been the impact of the same. But it'll make it more clear to me and to our public, because while sometimes when you're in the midst of it, you're not quite seeing what all of your functions. Mr. Superintendent, yes, sir. I know. I've always not stopped talking was because I needed simple water. That's on you. That's on you.
Hang on, no, feel my pain, right? Written to put a stopwatch on our school board meetings and say, okay, in our 3-hour school board meeting, Darrell Jones is responsible for an hour and 20 minutes. So, one thing that I mentioned, saw me kind of look up when Sika mentioned that we were rolling $4.2 million forward. That's a lot of money. That's like 44% of our budget. We didn't spend.
Well, that's not necessarily true, because that money also encompasses previous years. So it's not 44% of our money this year. It's an amalgamation of.
Right, it's still a lot, it's still a significant amount of money, right? And then the budget all about, it still had 1.2 million sitting there. It's maybe budgeted, but it's not allocated, right? Budgeting this amount, but we have that grant in the program, right? It's not a bad position. Look, I'm not saying it's not a bad position to be in. We're not doing this to the community. Everybody gets paid. We're being very thoughtful about our investments. But I do think we need to find something big to, and now that we have this strategic plan and those areas, for somebody to come to us with something of significance, because we are holding on to quite a bit of it. Number one. Number two, I don't remember where it was. It seemed like there was some discussion about this issue with the property appraiser and the fees, and the legality of property appraisal.
Yeah, the morality, not legality.
I think I may be wrong, but I think just recently, I don't know. Maybe I just dropped. But
I wish I have gotten no communication on.
it's not 100% legal. Okay.
It's about 2% from the tax collector's office and about another 2% from the property appraiser.
All right.
Tax collector takes their part out before they disperse, property appraiser invoices us.
So, two points to make. One on the Sika's right. Year after year after year, we have a little leftover, and it's been rolling up. When we had the discussion about 21st century schools and our ability, something big might be coming and we just don't know about it. So it is a good position to be in case something like that should occur. And oh, by the way, with all that is being talked about, regardless of what the outcome is in November with the property tax issue, it's a nice position to be in. The second thing is that the way Sika has done this is, I think, the right way of looking at our budget, and that is, she can't decide in June what we are going to want to spend money on in October. So she's put it into categories based on our priorities. And because we've just adopted a strategic plan, she can now take that strategic plan and look for which bucket that she has come up with the estimated dollars to spend, which bucket is the appropriate place to take them. That, for the reason I said, we will have that $1 million left over. We could have more than $1 million left over. We could have less than $1 million left over. Depending on what we as a council decide is the program, how much of the program we want to spend, how, that, do we want to cut the, No, we will still have reserves. So, so again, we are in a very good financial position. I agree with the superintendent. If something big should happen, we're in a position to be able to afford it. And each one of these, I mean, again, that Head Start and early Head Start, that's coming out of our budget that more than what we've ever funded. So it's a great position that we're in, that we have held back. And each year, it never feels like that much that we're holding back, but year after year after year, it rolls over. So that's why I said it wasn't an easy yes or no, so you can answer your question.
So, Mr. Chair, if I may, what we will do is go back and under compensation and benefits, we'll pull all that together and footnote. Is that the only change we need to make? And then we will send this back out.
See, in the finance committee, I'd also ask for an historical look back. And I know Holly has done it in the,
Yeah.
okay, I will do this.
But we're working on it.
So that when the council knows what you're gonna receive is the property appraiser, to his credit, always gives a conservative estimate. We always receive more than what his conservative estimate shows. I want the council to have a closer sense of where we're going to be. For example, in the April 2026 finance report, we are it looks like we're $200,000 short of all of the tax revenues we projected. But we're going to receive a whole lot more than 200,000. So we're going to be over what we projected by September 30th when the fiscal year ends. So Sika and team are putting together an historical look at, this is what they told us, this is what it ended up being. We'll say that, remember the year that Commissioner Proctor came and I said to him, sir, our 1 year of rollback, I believe we will still, back of the napkin math, raise about $300,000 more. Turned out to be $600,000 more, even though we rolled back the rate. That was a year, though, that the interest rates were going up and everybody was selling their house and buying a house as quickly as possible. So that's going to show that ends up, we raise more money that way. This has not been a year where there's loads of houses being sold and now there is new construction. So those, I guess what I'm saying is you're going to get a good look and the look is going to be from an historical perspective, you'll be able to say, oh, here's what the property appraiser said, here's what we raised. I'm telling you that this year will be closer to his number, but we will still be ahead.
Any other comments regarding the budget? All right, we'll come back to this. Thank you to the budget committee, Mr. Johnson, Mr. Hannah, Mr. Mitchell, and all personnel of that committee. Thank you for your work. We'll now move to FRC's community engagement and report and sustainability plan. Report and Lieutenant.
Hello, and good evening, everyone. Down to the corner.
Down is up and up is down.
Yeah, it's not working.
Oh, I know why. You have to touch it and now it'll work. Yep. Don't explain. I don't know why, but. No problem, no problem. So, good evening, Chairman, board, and staff. It is certainly always a pleasure to be here with you all, just sharing about our work
and the impact. And also want to say thank you. I don't take it lightly that we are the highest funded program with the Children's Service Council. That certainly demonstrates a level of trust and confidence in Children's Home Society. And most certainly, again, I want to say thank you for that. So, moving to, thank you. It's always fighting with the technology. But I did also want to do a couple of introductions. I have with us today, I have Travell Northern right here. And I have to say, these people traveled all the way from Palm Beach. So I'm honored that they're here with us today. Kim reports directly to Travell. Travell actually took Anna Kay's position. And so he's the director of community impact programs and community solutions for Children's Home Society across the state. So thank you for being here. Always a pleasure. And also we have Lauren Fuentes, she is the Senior Vice President of Operations, and Travell reports directly to Lauren. And so again, thank you all for being here. We have our marvelous FRC team from Fort Braden. You ladies always impress me. So thank you so much for traveling here to be with us during this meeting, and also being very patient as well. So you ladies have been doing a phenomenal job. And as you all can see, I love highlighting our team members because they do great work. And their heart is really in the work that they do. And I feel privileged to serve at an organization where I know that the people who work with us are dedicated and committed to the work that we do. And I'll pass it over to you.
Right. All right. Today, we're going to focus on what we learned through our community engagement in Griffin Heights and Macon Town and Country, and how those findings informed our recommendations for your future investments.
Sorry, which community is it?
Griffin Heights, and then Macon Town and Country. We started with 3 potential paths forward. You would ask us to look at what does it look like if there's no investment moving forward. We continue with Cross Creek and Fort Braden. What mobile or on the ground outreach could possibly look like, or adding a fully staffed standalone FRC. So we'll share what we learned from residents, how readiness and feasibility differed across communities, and how those findings guided our recommendation. Our goal is simple: to identify the approach that best aligns with community voice, demonstrated readiness, and long-term sustainability. Over the course of 5 months, we created multiple opportunities for residents to engage with us and share their perspectives. Thank you to those who hosted us, who fed us, shout out Early's Kitchen. And to the beacons of light in our community, like, well, LaShawn, who was here earlier, and Commissioner Cummings, who really supported this work. We learned that trusted participation grows through consistency, and you can't rush it, and you can't fake it. We have an opportunity to support families. When programs change, when funding shifts, when contact information changes, we can be there ensuring that our members feel supported and respected in their time of need and don't feel lost in the shuffle. The more residents saw us show up and listen and follow through, the more willing they were to engage in shaping the future of services for their community. Throughout this process, we wanted to be intentional and make sure that we weren't only hearing from the same people who have a seat at every table. We met with community leaders, schools, churches, neighborhood associations, and service providers, but we also spent time with parents who were waiting in the parent pickup line to get their kiddos at the end of the day, with grandparents raising grandchildren, with residents attending community events, and families who don't always see themselves reflected in the planning process and conversations. If we're going to make recommendations about where resources should go, those recommendations need to be informed by the people who will actually use them, not just the organizations that serve them. As we listened across neighborhoods, one thing became clear pretty quickly. Families weren't struggling because they lacked resilience. What stood out wasn't a request for one specific program. It was the desire for a simpler path. Families wanted opportunities for their children. They wanted to strengthen financial stability. They wanted to feel support and connected rather than fragmented. They wanted to know that when they reached out for help, somebody was there to walk alongside them rather than just give them another phone number to call. Need alone doesn't automatically tell us where to invest next. It's about determining whether the conditions exist for that investment to succeed over time. We look at participation, leadership engagement, partner involvement, and whether residents are helping shape that vision themselves. Those factors help us understand whether a community is prepared to build something with us, not simply receive something from us. In Griffin Heights, we saw residents reach out to the we saw community leaders help bring new voices into the conversation. We saw partners step forward and ask how they can be part of the solution. The conversations became less about identifying challenges and more about identifying opportunities. Our readiness scores reflected that growth, but honestly, we could see it in the room before we saw it in the data. By the end of the engagement process, there was a clear momentum, strong partner interest, and a growing sense of community ownership around the resource center concept. Based on what we learned and what we observed and what data showed us, Griffin Heights did demonstrate readiness for implementation of some services. Our experience at Macon Town and Country was a little different. We met with families who cared deeply about their community, and residents were welcoming and interested in learning more about available supports during impromptu meetings and community events at the park or library at schools, but did not attend our structured outreach events. It's not the same level of sustained participation, organized leadership engagement, or partner alignment that emerged in the Griffin Heights area. That doesn't mean this community isn't ready for investment. It means the next right investment looks different. So our recommendation for Macon is to simply continue building momentum before making a larger infrastructure investment. When we compare what we've learned across both communities, the findings point us in different directions, but the goal is not to invest more in one community than another. It's to align our approach with where each community is today. Families want support that's visible and accessible and connected to their community. So how do we make this happen? Well, first, continuing our great work here at Cross Creek and Fort Braden. And next, moving forward with a co-located Family Resource Center presence in Griffin Heights, while expanding outreach and navigation services across Leon County. The Griffin Heights office would be co-located at the Leon County Health Department on Old Bainbridge Road, situated near Griffin Middle School and New Mount Zion Church. The donated space, I just heard the donated part, right? That means we don't have to pay for that part. The donated space would include a dedicated office, a child-friendly area, access to basic technology and workstations. And by utilizing existing community infrastructure, this model allows us to begin serving families quickly and effectively without the cost and delay associated with developing a new standalone facility. To successfully implement this model, we recommend adding 2 full-time positions, a navigator dedicated to direct family support, and an outreach manager focused on community engagement, partnership development, and countywide outreach coordination. And these positions do more than just support Griffin Heights. They strengthen the entire Family Resource Center system by increasing staff capacity, especially for evening and weekend events, expanding engagement into churches and additional community organizations. Importantly, the recommendation is not limited to a single site. All 3 components matter. Continuing operating and strengthening the existing Cross Creek and Fort Braden Family Resource Centers, launching the Griffin Heights co-located FRC office, and expanding countywide outreach, navigation, and community-based service delivery to families where they already live, where they already gather, where they already worship, and where they already seek support. This approach provides a practical and scalable next step. Invest where readiness is strong, expand access where need exists, and build a sustainable model that can continue growing alongside the needs of Leon County families. Agencies that we have already been in contact with and are ready to hit the ground running upon your approval are listed here, and again, the health department for the location.
I'm sorry. Those agencies are prepared to do what?
Those are ones that we've already talked about. If we go into this space, how do we partner? How do
Oh,
we?
in River Heights. Okay.
Right.
I thought they were the next one.
No,
Okay.
these are just people that are willing and ready and excited to come to the table.
I'm sorry.
Now, go ahead.
So could you go back to that sheet? Is it the intent that partners like Career Source Capital Region, right, in terms of workforce preparation, workforce readiness, I see ACE, which is good. Lively is also Lively is also a viable option.
And this isn't limited to these.
Okay.
This is just in talks who's been excited and at the table and just ready to go.
The only reason I mentioned that, right, so it is, I know that, I understand what the intent of the FRC is, mitigate traumatic circumstances for children. But we also know that systemic poverty is an important part of that, right? And so partners that are prepared to provide, for lack of a better word, cure, tempo is another option, right? Because working, the way we end poverty is by persons who are prepared and equipped to earn a job that pays a livable wage, right? And so I appreciate what we have there, but then there are other partners, and I'm hoping, and if I can help to facilitate those relationships, I am happy to do so. But I believe that as a part of the case management that we're doing, those connections I think are worthwhile. So I can talk to you offline about how I can help you with that. But Career Source Capital Region, Tempo, and other programs that are helping families to prepare to make those next steps in terms of job preparation and subsequent and increasing the amount of family income are an important part of that solution. All right, that's fair.
So the implementation would occur in phases. We would launch the Griffin Heights FRC office and expand outreach efforts, continue building partnerships and programming, like you mentioned, and then evaluate the outcomes to inform future growth, allowing us to move forward thoughtfully while remaining responsive to community needs. I am going to turn it back over to Tiffany to talk about sustainability and funding, match funding, and I'm going to be right back.
Thank you.
Yes.
Your proposal is proposing 2 additional staff for Griffin Heights? Is that, so Ashley plus 2 more, or is that including her position?
So right now we have a base position or family and community engagement coordinator, one at Cross Creek, one at Fort Braden, one assigned to the Griffin Heights area.
Right.
And then one assigned to the Macon area. The 2 positions that we're looking at are a navigator, which is a little different than the face. So the faces are out in the community, they're going to things, they're connecting people. The navigator is the person who's there in that office, meeting with you, doing the mobility mentoring, that kind of thing.
Okay.
So at that health department office, that's what we would like to see there, is that navigator there, who could really connect them, you know, and have reciprocal referrals between the other things that people are already coming in to the health department to do.
So what I'm trying to figure out is, it's really just 1 more position that you're asking for, not 2 more.
So it's 2 because that's the navigator.
Right.
And then the community outreach manager would be looking at our outreach throughout the whole county so that we can have a calendar like we do here for Cross Creek and like we do for Fort Braden of where else we will be in, with whether we're going to be at a library or what churches we're going to be visiting at on weekends, so that we can really push deeper into the community
So I think now I understand. It would not be fair to say that that's really meant as a Griffin Heights position. You're asking as part of the proposal, one additional person who's going to be the person sitting in the office that families come into. And oh, by the way, as long as you've got that office space, there is going to be one person who's really countywide that goes beyond Cross Creek, Fort Brayton, and Griffin Heights. And that's the second position.
And
correct?
yes, and then that person would help coordinate across. So something that we have run into, because we have been very minimal with our FTE, is, you know, we've had 3 FRC babies so far since we started. I don't know if you guys know that. But, you know, covering lunch breaks, things when events come up that more than one staff person wants to go to. And especially the biggest thing is that we pushing into evening things and pushing into weekend events. So that way we'll be able to offset those family and community engagement coordinators 40 hours so that there's not like an overtime situation, but none of them are super fatigued by having to always take the weekend shift and always show up.
I'm thinking you're really asking for one additional position for Griffin Heights, period.
Yes,
You're asking for an additional position that is countywide,
correct.
period.
You're asking us for it?
Yeah.
Yes.
So this is in addition to the contract you already been awarded?
So we're here today to decide if you guys, as we go into our next contract negotiations, move forward only with Cross Creek and Fort Brayton, whether we add this hybrid model of location in Griffin Heights and continue outreach throughout the community, or which we do have the budget in your packet for, but did not recommend, was the full brick and mortar, full staffed out FRC at Griffin Heights.
So, because I was under the, so.
It's still, just so you know, Mr. Chair, it's their ask is still within the original budget that we created at $4 million, two years ago.
Mr. Chair, I asked about that outreach. We just follow up on point. That says an FTE for the outreach person. Entire county, but more concentrated in Griffin Heights or?
More concentrated in the areas of need that have been identified. So there have been often times where we've been presenting and council members have mentioned other areas, Woodville or Chairs or other things. Well, Macon has been identified, but we haven't pushed into those other areas as much because they weren't specifically identified within the contract. And I would like for our team to not be as restrained and be able to be like, hey, there's an activity going on over here, over at Woodville, they're doing a big back to school thing. You know, how can we be a part of that and not feel like we're pushing against the contract restrictions?
So, back to see my folks at Fort Brayton is my district. What about people sitting on the other side of this wall? We haven't talked about the impact here across.
They're in touch.
No, we talked about that, when we talk about what they were doing, what Brayton was about, we already have this here.
So this was really to give an update on the outreach for Griffin Heights and Macon, not necessarily discuss Fort Brayton. I think when I said Fort Brayton earlier, I was just mentioning that how their space was also donated.
Okay. All right, gotcha. Yes, it was Commissioner.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
So now, what is this about Woodville and Chair?
Oh, I was saying that with this outreach, I would like for our team to be able to push in to wherever there is need.
Okay.
And prior to this, the first kind of like pilot program and ITM was really focused on specific census tracts.
Right.
And there are other areas.
So we've got Woodville, we've got Cross Creek. We're going to Fort,
We have Fort Brayton and Cross
We
Creek.
have
Yes.
Fort Brayton and Cross Creek. We're talking about Griffin Heights,
Yeah.
right? One of the things that we talked about when we talked about Griffin Heights, and I think We talked about maintenance, that we go into areas where there was greater density of heat.
Right.
Right, we're already in fourth grade. Woodville is also a part of my district, so I'm concerned about that as well, but I also want to talk about areas of greater density. Because that information is also reviewed as a part of our census tract. And so that's why I was concerned, that's why I was excited about Griffin Heights, that Bacon isn't working. I also talked about there was a willingness and interest in South City. Also an area of great need and and also even greater density than what we found in our already existing FRC. So I mean, anyway, continue what you're proposing, but sometimes these things to be said out loud causes me to inquire further. But continue.
So that feedback, Mr. Chair, what you're proposing, an additional FTE will address some of those areas that
Yes.
Mr. Chair raised.
Correct.
Okay.
This, yeah.
I'll be able to travel to
Roll
the.
before you walk, the walk before you run. You know, yeah.
Right, and I mean, I appreciate that feedback. We actually just recently talked about the South City Foundation because they are in fact, engaging different initiatives that are already aligned with the work that we're doing here. That just shows that there's an opportunity for collaboration since they already have an existing infrastructure with the foundation.
And when you pick up the opposition in Bacon, were y'all working with the radio development?
We have, and so it wasn't necessarily about opposition, but when we talked earlier, a couple of times ago, about what areas we needed to strengthen, and like with Griffin and Bridgetown, it's some of that trust. With that Bacon area, it's more of that leadership, finding those people that are gonna really get more people to the table, that encourage people to come. They were very open when we were out at events, but getting people to come to the events, we couldn't find that, well, you know what, this person's gonna be here, and I bet you wanna see that and know about this and that kind of thing, like we had with, Griffin Heights this last time, where we had several champions that were out there with Michigan. That's the difference that we saw. So it's not that, there was opposition, I just don't think they're at the same level of readiness.
Well, let me just offer this, right, offline, I'm going to talk to that acre institutions, like, we have a strong admin team, can see it, which is right there at the heart of the Citizens been there for decades. She knows every neighbor, every family in that community, right? The housing authority has a very strong tenant association in Grady Road, right?
Yeah.
So
And we've gone to some of those meetings and
So-
did that.
because what we don't want to be, so I think that there are influencers in every community, right? Hold no formal title, but are community matriarchs and patriarchs who have the type of cachet where something worthwhile must be move beyond trust. And I think that sometimes requires the invitation of other persons who can help to. Like when we had Griffin Heights, Commissioner Cummings' presence has been enormously impacted, right? Then the school board member from that area and involved, right? So, and then because, so I don't want us to be weary and well doing this thing. And particularly with Bacon, because again, we're talking about areas of great concentration of poverty as well as crisis. Anyway, members of the council can be involved off the dais, direct conversations, particularly singularly, right? About us violating us being there together. Please reach out to us directly. I'm sure we'd be happy to engage. We have a commissioner at large. I mean, and I say that because she does not just represent a commissioner district, she represents the entire county. So that brings a great deal of cachet in those neighborhoods. So I mean, as you prepare to continue to put these up, right? I just think we're crawling before we walk, but guys, let's get off Pavlov, get on solid meats and vegetables. All right, guess I can continue.
Love the feedback. And Travell, people, I'm sure he'll be taking that with Kim for some of that. So thank you again, really, really appreciate the feedback. So when we talk about sustainability and match funding, that's been an ongoing conversation, rightfully so, because the program is currently 100% funded by the Children's Service Council. So as an organization, CHS is committing to move forward with family resource centers as programming that's happening across the state of Florida within the organization, not just in Leon County. So currently we have 2 centers here in Leon. We also have 1 in Putnam County as well. However, Leon County has the most funding, but also the most stable funding. So we've submitted 3 budgets, each having their own anticipated or recommended funding amount from the Children's Service Council, but an additional amount that is in that budget that will come from monies that Children's Home Society raises. Currently, we have actually applied for a little under $500,000 for funding for family resourcing. However, we have not received any of that funding as of yet, but it does show that we're identifying opportunities nationally for funding and also applying for those as well. So we do intend to continue along that path with looking for national grant opportunities, both nationally but also locally. However, we do know that things locally are not very stable based on some recent communications, which means that we still have opportunity to look other places as well. Another opportunity that we have is foundation funding, looking both for our local foundations, but also for national foundations as well and statewide to help support the work that we're doing here. We actually have the tour coming up with FSU, with someone that's been working with FRCs across the nation, and we're hoping that we get some more ideas about funding through potential collaboration there as well. And then finally, we do have a local development department that has been most recently having meetings with some of our existing donors. And we've been listening to our donors to hear more about what do they want their dollars, what do they want that to look like. So we do intend to go back to them and talk a little bit more specifically about family resource centers, inviting them to come to family resource centers as well, so that they can make a more meaningful donation directly to our centers to support the work that we have there. And so we're going to continue, again, national grants, foundation funding, and donor opportunities. That's our pathway for that sustainability plan. And Kim is going to talk a little bit more about the 3 budget options that you all have that will also reflect the sustainability amount that CHS intends to bring in to support funding.
Continue for you. Grants we've applied for the FRC. How many have we been rejected, or are we just kind of waiting?
How many? 2. 1 was 400,000, not awarded.
Does not awarded mean
No.
they made a
answer was
decision?
no.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. And then the other one was, I don't know the part.
Yeah, we haven't gotten an answer.
Okay.
So
And sometimes we don't have the feedback exactly why we weren't awarded, but I can tell you the pool is extremely competitive, and that's been some of the feedback that we've gotten.
Okay, all right, but we've applied for 2, or you've applied on behalf of FRC.
Yes.
2 of which are in Leon.
Yes, and thank you, Lauren. And Lauren, I would say, is my statewide partner for sustainability plan. And so when we're talking about our strategy to sustain what we have here and stabilize it, Lauren is typically the one that I'm working with to do that in conjunction with our development team locally as well.
Numbers. You should have in your packet 3 budgets. The one that we are recommending is the second one, and it'll be titled at the top, CSC Leon Plus, GFH Hybrid.
Where is the hand?
This page 3 in your desk.
Not my back.
The one you're speaking to is PS three.
Okay, so page 3 in your handout.
Why say it? So the first page, front and back, is no expansion. The one you recognize is the second one.
Yes.
Hybrid. That's where you're asking us to look now?
Yeah, the second one.
Got it.
So then, yeah, so you'll see, there's a total ask of a little over 1.6. And of that, 209, little over 209,000 would be the, brought in from.
This includes, just so I'm sure I understand this, this includes Fort Brady,
Yep,
Cross Creek, and the new center at Griffin Heights,
yep,
plus the one position that's countywide.
correct.
That's the hybrid,
Yes,
and this is the total amount,
yes.
not just.
the total amount? My bottom's cut off. What is it?
Yeah, this
I
is,
just saw that was cut off
yeah,
a different
because
day.
I'm looking at Brent. It's cut off.
And it's up
Only
here
shows-
too. All the one,
Here.
all the 1637, 339.
We, Holly, don't worry about reading.
Yes, I
We
can
can-
see it.
We can look up here. Here,
May I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
So, no expansion. Option 2, option 1, no expansion. Option 2. An option 3, full spin along. I see the total, I see the max. So is that for 1 year or,
Yes,
for one year? So that includes continuing for, raising, continuing here
yes,
and the hybrid.
Yes.
Bring it home.
yes.
and Commissioner, if you, not that this is your document, it's our document, but if you look back at our budget, we are contemplating. So this is not above and beyond everything that is, that's in here. The FRCs are contemplated in here,
Oh,
okay?
okay.
Yes, so we're all within budget. I sometimes,
We don't have to find this.
we do not have to find it.
Awesome.
We have to ask for it from, our taxpayers, but no, we don't
I'm
have to.
saying we don't have to find it like something about,
There's option.
yes, sir, Mr.
So currently with the programs we have in place, I guess that's 1.4 million, so they're asking for an additional 236,000 for the expansion. And this would start in October, he said.
Well, I mean, that's when our fiscal year, I don't know what your budget shows for. Is that when?
October.
October? Is that the fastest it could get up and is the
No,
health
so
department
we
ready?
would start, because we've had a lot of these conversations already, like the slide that I showed you earlier, different organizations. We can start if we know that that's the direction that we're going in, and use our current positions to start getting that going. Yeah,
I think that's why we would get going right away. The funding that is proposed for fiscal year 26, 27 is what is up here.
correct.
So, we did you get to this?
I just took no expansion, or if we continue like we are now, it's 1.4 million. You add what they're recommending, these two positions, there's another 236,000.
I see now, okay. All right, council, unless there are any other questions, there a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move for the recommendation.
Put it back on the screen.
Option 2 is, so,
For option 3,
in option 3 or option 2?
Is it good for the?
The recommendation is 2.
Okay. I'll move for the recommendation of option 2.
Is there a second?
I will second it.
All right, there's properly moved and seconded. Is there any additional discussion? All right, all those in favor, I'm sorry, public comment? All hearts were satisfied. All those in favor of option 2, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Ally,
Ally and
Melissa?
Aye,
that's who?
That's Ally.
that's Ally.
All right, Ms.
Walker?
Ms. Walker? Ms. Walker?
There.
All right, ayes have it. It is approved. But no, what? Yeah, but that's what I said, ayes have it, right?
And again, that is contemplating a match of 209,000 that CHS is coming up with.
Yes.
So please schedule a meeting, because, I'd love to talk with you all further, right? Because I'm really interested in, I know that Commissioner Cummings is working on different heights. I'm not putting my finger on the sky on this, but that what you already currently have, right? The expansion and thinking, which we had talked about, been on the original target list from the very beginning, right? And I know that although it's not in my district, I know that community, I also input in that community, and I think we can get our help, because you will recall, this was a challenge we had before, right? And so there is, I mean, this is legitimate, right? But I do want to acknowledge the Children's Home Society. Particularly most recently when people were entered to do in my district at table. Regrettably, there was a moment where the Children's Home Society and its participation and when it was restored at the behest of the superintendent and Dr. Gill and others, we went from a D to an A in a year. You may applaud. That was extraordinary. I know the capacity found in the Children's Home Society, bring in partners like that, strong leaders like our current principal, Victoria Hankerson, what we could do, that was amazing. Commissioner, from a D to an A in a year. And so the effort that y'all were able to bring along with your partners, I know that I know the impact of the Children's Home Society, what it can do as it coalesces persons from a variety of different areas of responsibility and influence, and I want to make sure we're doing this for the Macon community. It's that type of innovation that also provides support to a school, right? Like Sealy, right? What you're going to be able to do, we'll be able to foster that same level of support also at the anchor institution out of that community. So that's why I'm interested in it, because I know the impact that the Children's Home Society brings when it comes to the nation. All right, so thank you so very much. Thank you.
And I just wanted to add something else final, so
Got you, buddy.
Although there's that.
The conversion of executive stay hotel. And they have quite a few that are, and I know that, some of those families have been referred to the PIT program at the school district. So if we have any opportunity, with the school district to potentially partner and maybe identify PIT families that are in those identified areas, I think that's also a really good opportunity for us as well.
I can tell you, I went to superintendent's great when we talk about that, but it has been his leadership that one of the things that we're most proud of is that those families in transition, right? We understand that momentum and making certain that those children make their schools of choice no matter where those children find themselves. The superintendent finds resources so that you might be in the suburb in your city, but if you are a kid who was thriving and find you make the provisions to make sure those kids are transported there, because we know that those relationships are sustainable. communities of learning are an important part of making certain those children thrive. So anyway, we can be involved. I know the superintendent has staff, personal connection with Dr. Gale, you can reach with the right persons to make certain that those persons receive the adequate support that the district provides for those things. That is one of the priorities. We continually talk on an annual basis about making sure we're catering to vulnerable children and families. So yes, we can help to make that connection.
Okay. All right, perfect, we'll love that, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I just thank Tiffany and her group, her staff, for all the hard work that they did with French Sound area. We were having those meetings at the height of the winter, and it was cold weather, but they came, they persevered. I want to thank John. Going as well, as we'll see you yourself, mentioned, everybody had the heart to want to do something for that. And I think it's gonna be a game changer. I'm just elated, excited. Thank you guys so much for the recommendation. And I think the residents in that community are going to benefit greatly from that. So I said, and I also want to thank our county administrator, Vince Long, and the executive director at the health department for agreeing for this partnership to allow the family resource center to be housed in that area. You know, we had space, but they didn't have to agree. That is true. Thank you guys.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much, and I really do appreciate that. Professionally and personally, that did mean a lot to me that you all were there, because you didn't have to come. But you came, you didn't try to slide out early, you stayed the whole time. But that's meaningful because it shows, I think it just demonstrates the model that, you want to walk alongside, to really make it happen, to make it work. And, again, that really meant a lot to me, both professionally and personally. So, thank you all for your support, and really your consistency and support. That really does.
All right. Thank you so very much. As for the nominating committee, I want to remind you that CSC Leon offices served for 2 years, nominated and elected currently. So the current term of the chair, vice chair, and treasurer will expire in October of this year, Madam Chair. So we just need you to convene your committee as such. I appreciate those persons who agreed to serve. Next, our next upcoming meetings and events. Executive committee meeting Wednesday, July 8th, finance and budget meeting on that same day, 1 at 12, the other at noon. And we convene this council again on Thursday, July 16th at 4 p.m. Yes, ma'am.
Sorry.
I hope you're something.
I will, but
We'll make a motion.
Okay. We've got, trim hearings coming up, y'all. So on page 25 of our book, we will start the trim. So we've got our. So when Mr. Mitchell convenes his finance and budget committee next month, they will start talking about those trim recommendations. We will have our first trim public meeting on Thursday, July 16th. No, I'm sorry, the tentative budget. Then we've got the first trim public hearing on the 17th of September, 2nd of September 24th. And that's when we will also finalize our budget. Mr. Mitchell?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I think it's important to the public that they understand that while we have 2 additional trim notices, hearings, the much consideration, much weight we are deciding outside of public comment in that, what meeting is it? The July meeting. On the tentative, that will go out as part of the trim notice, which people can come to the hearing. Remember that it's very difficult once the trim notice goes out and the hearings are held to change that. So if the public is listening and they would like to opine one way or another and have an opinion, the time to show up is at the July meeting.
Any final comments from members of the council? Our persons online, any final comments? All hearts are satisfied, we are heretofore adjourned. Thank you. Are we all? Are we all?
Not quite yet.